My name is Christian WETTERBERG, and I work at the LEGO Group, where I'm globally responsible for product safety and compliance. I'm quite heavily engaged when it comes to toy safety standardization, so I'm chairing the technical committee, number 52, for the safety of toys, which is responsible for all the toy safety standards in Europe, except for the electrical toys standards. Well, in my area, it's of course to ensure a high level of safety of the toys that children play with, and also to create a level playing field for all stakeholders. And in addition, it gives access to some 34 markets with one standard. So it's not only the EU market, but also some neighboring countries that implement the toy standards. Well, if I were to pick one, it would obviously be the adoption of the new approach. I'm old enough to remember 1985 and the principle of directives only giving general health and safety requirements, and then the technical standards to be developed to support those with the technical requirements. I think that was such a big milestone that it's difficult to not pick that one. If I see it as a possibility to make a wish, I would for one thing say that I would like this concept to remain, the new approach concept, where standardization indeed does all the technical work and make sure that there are technical requirements to support the general requirements. And also the dream would be that we would have the same system internationally as we do in Europe. When we have published the standard here in Europe, we know that all the members of CEN have to implement that standard. And imagine if we would have had the same situation internationally. If we agreed on one standard, we knew that it would be globally implemented within a certain time frame, ensuring that all the standards are up to date, well known and implemented. Yes, I'll pick an example which is actually more than 10 years old, and it's about magnets in toys, strong small magnets. They were previously too expensive to use in toys, but suddenly the price came down and they started to be implemented in toys, and a lot of new exciting toys could be created using these small strong magnets. But what one hadn't foreseen was that for some toys these magnets could be released and children can put them in their mouth and swallow them. And if they swallowed 2 or more magnets on different occasions, those magnets could then attract each other inside the body across the walls of intestines, causing necrosis and later rupture, which is a life-critical condition. And there were indeed both many severe accidents, but also some fatalities. And this was something that the standards hadn't foreseen. There weren't any requirements in the standard. So in record time, the international community got together and developed requirements that were introduced to ensure that toys that complied with the standard would not present this hazard. And I think I choose it because it was an example of how quickly we can act when new information becomes available, ensuring that the standards are up to date and that children are protected. It proves that it's important that standardization isn't surrounded by too many complex approval routes before you can actually adopt and quickly implement them. And another thing that it illustrates, it's the importance of always being one step ahead, of trying to anticipate what on earth could happen and how do we then prevent that before it actually happens. And this was another good example of this. And the standards still include the same requirements for magnets as we introduced some 10 plus years ago, which also proves that even though it was a quick, fast work, it was thoroughly done and it's still protecting the children.